Trust and distrust are often thought of as two sides of the same coin. But in fact, it's more helpful both in terms of theory and in terms of practice to recognize that trust and distrust are quite different. Trust can be built through a series of actions that an individual or an organization may take. For example, if you are more competent, if you demonstrate you have a lot of ability, I'm more likely to trust you. If you show that you actually care about my interests, I'm more likely to trust you, as opposed to when you're more self-interested and only worry about taking care of yourself. Also, if I believe that you are really being authentic, that you're demonstrating integrity, that you're being honest, that you're being consistent with your values and your actions, I'm much more likely to be willing to trust you. So these three elements of ability or competence, integrity and values, and benevolence or concern for others are all a critical factor if you want to build trust. Now, distrust is quite different from that. Distrust is based on a question of whether I believe that your worldview and my worldview, that your values and my values are aligned with each other. If I don't think we see things similarly in terms of core beliefs, that we share the same values, I'm much more likely to distrust you, and simply trying to do the things that build trust will not repair the distrust. I will not believe you see things the way I do just because I see you as more competent. I will not believe that you will see things in a way that is going to fit with my worldview just because I believe you care about me. So if you want to repair a problem of distrust, what you need to do is to identify the areas where values are aligned and congruent with each other, and you need to address concerns where people really see things very differently. Until you've done that, so you and I can see that we share values, everything I do to try to rebuild trust is going to be of no value at all. I need to first make sure that distrust is gone. Then I can build on that foundation a building, an edifice of trust. So the sequence matters, and different features matter for trust versus distrust. There has been a lot of attention recently to the intersection between the use of both formal and informal control in organizations and how one builds and sustains trust in organizations. This is a very important feature, and it's a good thing that we've started paying attention to that. Control in organizations, whether you're talking about informal control like culture and norms and practices, or formal control like structures, job descriptions, rules, procedures, all of that has a really important impact on trust. For example, if I know that the rules and procedures do not allow people who are in positions of power to do things that are going to hurt me, I'm much more willing to trust. If, for example, they have complete power, no constraints on their power, I have to be much more careful about how much I'm willing to make myself vulnerable to them. So if you're in a position of power, one of the things that you can do is voluntarily put constraints on yourself in terms of the kinds of norms that are articulated and expected in the organization, the kinds of rules and procedures you adopt that limit your ability to exercise authority quite freely. One of the things you're trying to convey to people if you want to build their trust is that we have put safety measures in place through our control systems that control me and make me unable to do things you really need to worry about very much. Now, that's a very restrictive way of using control to build trust and to minimize a lack of trust or increase distrust. Another way of doing it is to use the informal systems of saying we've developed a set of constructive practices and norms so that even though if I wanted to abuse my power, I would be allowed to in terms of the formal systems, informally, you and I both know I won't do that. So it's the combination of formal control and informal control that can be used to actually enhance trust. And if it's abused or it's put in place only to benefit the powerful, it can really very seriously undermine trust. Preparing leaders for the future is something that has become very popular and we're very interested in because it can make a big difference. How we train leaders, how we prepare leaders, how we help those who are in positions of authority to be better leaders is very important. And it's very much related to trust and to control as well. How do we get people to really get a sense of what it means to be an ethical leader and to be able to be more effective at accomplishing ethical leadership? I think there are several things that we can do. In education, there are also ways that we can take that and translate it into the workplace. First of all, I think it's very important to encourage individuals who wish to be effective leaders that they have to be more reflective. They have to be more thoughtful. We have a tendency to aim so much at action that we don't emphasize enough that people need to stop and think. And that the best leaders that I work with and that I've observed always take time to think, to prepare, and to be, as a result, one step ahead of those they're leading because they actually did their homework. They actually thought about the situations they were going to be in. The second thing that I think we can do is to provide leaders with systematic frameworks based on research, which can help them take their vast experience and capabilities and better understand what it is they do know, where the gaps are, how to think in a more systematic way about what they may do on an everyday basis just out of their talent and intuition. Some things they will do well, some things they will do less well. But there is a lot of research that speaks to how they can think systematically about what makes for more effective and more ethical leadership. Some of it is intuitive and obvious, and some of it is not. Finally, what I think we can do is, and we really must do, is give individuals practical guidelines for how they can turn their reflections and thoughts, their better understanding of what it means to be an ethical leader, and turn this into concrete actions that they can take. If people do not know what they need to do differently, what actions they need to take that are different, having the best ideas in the world is not enough. Having the best academic kinds of theoretical ways of thinking about things is not enough. They need help in knowing how to turn that into action. And if you take this combination of reflection, systematic frameworks, and action guidelines, and you put that all together, I think we stand a very, very good chance of helping people be able to be more effective ethical leaders. In today's world, we're facing change all the time. It used to be that major change occurred only every 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Now it's a constant. It's very important that in confronting change effectively, that leadership and trust and control systems play a role. And they play a very straightforward set of roles in helping change occur. The first that I think is most critical is change is very complex. It's happening quickly. It's happening in ways that make us more interdependent with fuzzier lines. And it's much more complicated than it used to be. Leaders play an important role in helping people make sense of change. Trust is important because when change is occurring, we do not know all of the pieces that will unfold in the future, and we have to be willing to trust each other, trust the system, trust the process to some extent. Otherwise, change can't be done very, very effectively. And we need control systems as well, because control systems help channel our energies. They help us know what to pay attention to, and they help take this very complicated set of changes that often need to take place and put them into pieces that we can better understand, pieces that are better able to be coordinated with each other because there are systems built around them. So for change to occur, we really need this combination of leader guidance and assistance, control system infrastructure and support, and relational systems that allow us to trust each other. And when you put all three of those together, change can happen very effectively. When you pull them apart, it's very, very difficult to make it work.